The lost prophecy, the legend, and the omen. Throughout history, countless prophecies have emerged, warning of great cataclysms and the fall of powerful empires. Yet few are as chilling as the one whispered in secret chambers within the Vatican, words penned by a man who claimed to see the future. Have you ever heard of the prophecy of the popes? Saint Malachy, an Irish archbishop from the 12th century, allegedly received a vision detailing the succession of every pope until the very last one, the one who would witness the end. But what if the prophecy is more than just an old manuscript? What if the final pope is already here? Before you continue, let us know in the comments. Do you believe in ancient prophecies, or are they just myths meant to keep us in fear? The origins of Malachy's prophecy remain shrouded in uncertainty. According to records, he traveled to Rome in 1139 to meet with Pope Innocent II. Upon arriving, he collapsed at the Vatican gates, overcome by a powerful vision. However, historians have debated its authenticity for centuries. Some claim the document was forged in the 16th century, while others insist that Malachy's words hold a terrifying truth, one deliberately hidden by those in power. In 1595, a Jesuit historian named Father Vincenzo de Lignori uncovered the prophecy in the Vatican archives. He was found weeks later in his study, clutching his own notes, his eyes wide open in terror. Witnesses say he had become obsessed with the final lines of the manuscript, which described a pope who would not be a mere man, but something else entirely. His records, now heavily censored, suggested that Malachy's final vision was not simply about the church's collapse. It was about a return. A return of what exactly was a matter of dispute. Some believed it referred to the second coming of Christ, while others whispered a darker theory. They claimed it was an omen of an ancient Force One that had been exiled from the world, waiting to reclaim its throne in disguise. The Vatican has long been aware of such predictions. Secret correspondences from the 18th century suggest that multiple popes were warned against allowing the prophecy to gain public traction. Pope Pius IX, in particular, was rumored to have commissioned a special task force of scholars, known as the Custodes Veritatis, to analyze and suppress any further discussion of Malachy's words. Reports from that period describe a series of mysterious disappearances among the clergy, particularly those with access to ancient texts. Could it be that the Vatican has been playing a far more active role in controlling the narrative of the prophecy than previously believed? If so, what exactly are they protecting the world from? In the centuries that followed, the prophecy resurfaced time and again, each time bringing with it waves of speculation and fear. During World War II, members of the German occult division, Ahnenerbe, sought Vatican documents that might confirm an ancient lineage connected to Malachy's vision. Their goal remains unclear, but records show that Vatican officials went to great lengths to prevent these texts from falling into the wrong hands. Some scholars suggest that the Ahnenerbe was not just searching for historical validation, but rather attempting to activate something long buried. Did they believe that the prophecy contained instructions for a ritual, one that could manipulate or harness an ancient power? If so, was it the Vatican's intent to protect humanity or to maintain exclusive control over whatever secrets lay hidden in their archives? But if Petrus Romanus is destined to take the throne and usher in the end, where is he now? Pope Francis is often associated with the last pope prophecy, but there is something peculiar about his election. His name does not align with Malachy's list, and yet he is the first Jesuit pope in history, a member of an order known for its secrecy and deep ties to the Church's hidden past. Even more unsettling is the fact that he chose the name Francis, reminiscent of Saint Francis of Assisi, who once wrote that a false pope would rise in the final days. Is Francis the key to Malachy's cryptic vision, or is there another figure lurking in the shadows, waiting to be revealed? The deeper one looks into this prophecy, the more questions arise. It is almost as if the answers have been deliberately obscured, buried beneath centuries of deception. Some claim that the Vatican knows more than it admits. Documents locked away in the secret archives hint at alternative interpretations of Malachy's words. Ancient orders like the Ordo Umbri have sought to keep these truths from surfacing. And then there are the whispers of a ritual known only to the highest-ranking members of the Church, performed once every few centuries to ensure that a hidden covenant remains intact. Could it be that the final pope is not meant to end the Church, but to fulfill a pact made long before its foundation? If so, then the prophecy is not a warning, it is a blueprint. A design set in motion centuries ago, but by whom and for what purpose? The answers lie deeper than we dare to imagine. Stay with us, for the truth is only beginning to unfold. Some of the strongest evidence pointing to an alternative interpretation of the prophecy comes from an ancient Latin inscription discovered beneath the ruins of an early Christian temple in Rome. The inscription, which predates Saint Malachy by nearly 4 centuries, makes reference to a shepherd in white who will call forth the forgotten king. Who was this king, and why was his identity erased from ecclesiastical history? Some theorists speculate that this figure was an early heretical leader, one whose influence threatened the power structure of the early Church. If true, this could suggest that the final pope's arrival is not an isolated event, but rather the fulfillment of a cycle that has repeated for thousands of years. Could it be that Petrus Romanus is not simply the last pope, but the one who unveils the return of something far older, something the Church has desperately tried to keep hidden? If Francis is truly the harbinger of the prophecy, then every action he takes, every decision he makes, could be pushing us closer to an event that has been centuries in the making. The final pieces are falling into place, and the truth, it seems, is far stranger than anyone had anticipated. The question remains, was Malachy's vision a divine warning, or was it a revelation of a plan that has always been in motion? Are we witnessing the final unraveling of an ancient design, or is this merely another chapter in a story far older than we know? The answers may be closer than we think, but one thing is certain: those who have sought the truth have always paid the ultimate price. Will we dare to look further? The next revelation may change everything we thought we knew about the Vatican, history, and the nature of prophecy itself. The God's game, the revelation and the cost of truth. For centuries, the Vatican has remained silent about the true nature of Malachy's prophecy, dismissing it as either an elaborate hoax or a mistranslation of old texts. But what if the truth is far more unsettling? Hidden among ancient manuscripts and secret council records lies evidence that the prophecy was only partially revealed to the public. Malachy's vision did not merely predict the succession of popes. It alluded to something buried beneath Vatican Hill, something far older than Christianity itself, and those who dared to uncover its origins met fates as grim as the Jesuit scholar Father Vincenzo de Lignori, whose warnings were sealed away the moment he drew too close. If the Church holds the key to Petrus Romanus, why has it remained so determined to keep its secrets locked away? The Vatican archives are filled with documents too dangerous to see the light of day. Some whisper of forbidden texts that speak of celestial wars, records of civilizations long erased from history, and artifacts locked away for reasons beyond human understanding. The most enigmatic of these relics is the Codex Apocalypsis, an ancient document that predates the prophecy of Malachi by centuries. Unlike anything found in conventional theological records, the Codex speaks of a time before Rome, before the rise of monotheistic religions, when beings mistaken for gods walked among men and shaped the fate of empires. It tells of a betrayal, a war among the divine, and an exile one who was cast out and condemned to wander through history, waiting for the moment when he would reclaim his throne. Few within the Vatican have dared to speak openly about the Codex Apocalypsis, but one name continues to surface in whispered conversations: Cardinal Alessandro Luciani, an aging scholar who has spent decades piecing together the puzzle hidden in the depths of the archives. He has traced connections between the Codex, Malachi's prophecy, and a shadowy figure erased from history. According to Luciani's research, the final pope of Malachi's vision is not just a religious leader, he is a vessel, a harbinger of something far more profound. The name Tarquinius Lumen appears repeatedly in texts that have been systematically removed from public record. The few remaining fragments describe him as an augur from the days of the Roman Republic, one who defied Jupiter himself and paid the ultimate price. What is most troubling is that the remnants of Tarquinius Lumen's story do not end with his supposed execution. Writings hidden beneath layers of redacted scripture hint at a ritual conducted in secrecy, one meant to preserve his essence until the time was right. Inscriptions found beneath the Pantheon bear markings eerily similar to those found in the Codex Apocalypsis, suggesting that Tarquinius's influence extended beyond the rise of Christianity. If these accounts are true, then Petrus Romanus is not simply the last pope. He is the return of a force long thought buried, a being waiting for the right conditions to step back into the world. As Luciani digs deeper into these forbidden texts, a pattern begins to emerge. Statues of St. Peter in Rome have mysteriously cracked, their faces eroded in ways that defy natural wear. In Jerusalem, an ancient pillar uncovered beneath the Temple Mount contains a forgotten language that bears an uncanny resemblance to inscriptions found in the Vatican's secret archives. Reports from Vatican officials describe unsettling occurrences, shadows moving through the halls of St. Peter's Basilica, whispers in a language that no scholar can recognize. Something is stirring beneath the surface, something ancient and aware, but Luciani is not the only one who has taken notice. The highest echelons of the Church have begun silent internal purges, removing individuals from positions of power with no explanation. Documents disappear overnight. Priests rumored to have spoken of Malachi's prophecy are transferred to remote monasteries, their voices silenced. The Vatican is not merely ignoring the prophecy, it is actively erasing traces of it. But why now? Why, after centuries of secrecy, has the urgency to suppress this knowledge intensified? Could it be that Malachi's prophecy was never about the destruction of the Church, but about a transformation, a changing of the guard, where the institution we know today gives way to something entirely different? If Pope Francis is not the final pope, but the one who unveils him, then who or what awaits in the shadows, ready to claim the throne? The deeper one delves into these questions, the more the line between history and myth begins to blur. But there is something even more disturbing in Luciani's discoveries. The texts he has studied suggest that the prophecy does not merely predict an event. It is part of a cycle that has played out before. Across different civilizations in different ages, there has always been a moment when power shifts, when an empire crumbles, and a figure emerges claiming to be the rightful ruler. The fall of Rome, the rise of the Holy Roman Empire, the schisms that tore through the Church, all of them, according to the Codex, were part of a grander design. And now that cycle is nearing completion once more. Luciani's final discovery comes in the form of a document written centuries ago, buried in the depths of the archives, its edges frayed and ink faded. It details a meeting of high-ranking Vatican officials in the year 1511, in which a warning was issued. The time will come when the shepherd's seat will no longer be his own. The one who was exiled shall return, and the stone upon which this church is built shall crumble. The document bears the seal of Pope Julius II, a leader known for both his political cunning and his deep involvement in the preservation of the Church's power. If this warning was issued over 500 years ago, then the question becomes terrifying. Was Malachy's prophecy not a warning at all, but a timeline? And if so, is the final phase about to begin? The question remains, is Petrus Romanus truly a man, or is he the vessel of something far older, something that has awaited its moment in silence? And if the Church has spent centuries hiding the truth, what else have they concealed from the world? The pieces are coming together, and the revelation they form is one that may shake the very foundation of faith itself. But before we uncover the final secret, before we reach the last prophecy, ask yourself, how much of history have we truly been allowed to see? Stay with us, for the most shocking revelation is yet to come. The curse of immortals, the end that never ends. The signs have been ignored for too long. For centuries, the Church has buried the truth beneath layers of doctrine and silence. Yet the prophecy of Saint Malachy lingers like an unbroken curse. As the world watches Pope Francis, unaware of the forces shifting beneath their feet, the final pieces of the puzzle begin to reveal themselves. Petrus Romanus is not a man, but a cycle of force that has manifested across history, always returning when the great empires of faith stand on the edge of collapse. From the augurs of ancient Rome to the architects of the medieval Church, a shadow has followed those who dare to wield divine power. And now that shadow stirs once more. Deep within the Vatican catacombs, beneath the great dome of St. Peter's Basilica, there exists a hidden chamber known only to the highest-ranking members of the clergy. Inside, behind a door sealed since the time of Pope Leo X, rests an obelisk inscribed with an unknown script, pulsing with an eerie glow. It is said to be older than the city itself, a relic of the gods that predate Christianity. Cardinal Luciani, driven by the weight of his discoveries, descends into the crypt alone, guided by whispers that seem to emerge from the very stones. As he presses his hand against the ancient monolith, a vision engulfs him, a sky burning with celestial fire, a city crumbling into dust, and at the heart of it all, a pope standing before a throne not meant for mortals. Outside, in the waking world, the world's eyes are on Rome. Strange events are unfolding. A sudden eclipse darkens the skies over the Vatican, casting the city in an unnatural twilight. Reports emerge of black-robed figures moving through the streets, their eyes gleaming with something inhuman. In Jerusalem, the pillar uncovered beneath the Temple Mount begins to hum with an energy no scientist can explain. And in the heart of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis receives a message written in a hand that has not been seen for centuries, a name lost to history, now returning with an undeniable claim. Luciani stumbles from the catacombs, his mind fractured by the knowledge he has seen. The return is no longer a prophecy, it is happening now. The whispers he once dismissed as legends now carry weight beyond denial. He knows that the Church has played its role in a ritual far older than Christianity, a covenant forged before Rome's first stones were laid. But what if this is not a warning? What if this has always been the plan? The final pope is not here to end the Church, but to fulfill the promise made by those who came before, binding faith and power in a way that transcends human understanding. The obelisk in the crypt is not merely a relic, it is a key, a marker of something much older than even the oldest written histories. Inscriptions found beneath its worn surface speak of a shepherd king, one who would return when the world was ripe for his rule. The texts imply that his spirit has moved through history, waiting for the right moment to awaken once more. Could it be that Petrus Romanus is this figure, not a man at all, but a vessel for something far beyond human comprehension? As Luciani frantically attempts to make sense of what he has uncovered, the Vatican goes into lockdown. High-ranking cardinals disappear overnight, their names erased from official records. Reports of unmarked tombs opening in the necropolis beneath St. Peter's send waves of unease through those who know what lies buried there. Rome is no longer a city of faith. It is a city of secrets, trembling on the edge of revelation. And then the final sign appears. At midnight, the great bronze doors of St. Peter's Basilica swing open of their own accord. The bells of the Vatican ring, though no hand moves to pull the ropes. A figure stands in the threshold, shrouded in shadow, watching. The crowd that is gathered in the square falls silent, a hush spreading through the air, like an unseen force has stolen their voices. The figure does not speak, does not move, but those present swear they hear a whisper carried on the wind. The throne has waited long enough. Luciani knows now that he was never meant to stop what is coming. He was meant to witness it. The Church, the world, the very fabric of belief is unraveling before his eyes, and all he can do is watch as history completes its cycle once more. The last prophecy is fulfilled, not with fire and brimstone, but with a silent return, a reclamation of what was always meant to be. The world stands at a precipice, and for the first time in centuries, the Vatican has no answers. But what follows in the aftermath is even more chilling. As the dawn breaks over Rome, news spreads several high-ranking officials have vanished without a trace. The basilica remains open, yet no one dares step inside. Across the world, seismic activity is reported in locations with ties to ancient prophecy, Mount Athos, Delphi, and even beneath the ruins of old Jerusalem. The world is watching, holding its breath, waiting for the next move. Is Petrus Romanus the herald of destruction or rebirth? Is he the last leader of the Church, or its first ruler in a new era? The prophecy was never meant to warn, it was meant to prepare. And now, as the last key turns and the Vatican doors are sealed, the question remains, was this the will of man or the will of something far greater? If you have stayed with us until this moment, share your thoughts. Could this be history repeating itself? Or are we witnessing the final chapter of an ancient plan finally unfolding?